All right.
You.
I'm official.
Did you swear?
This I did. I swore.
You can wait till after
Hot
one
mic.
too, and I can,
Why don't we go over some things now?
yeah, I can show you after that.
That would be great. Should we be passing that along?
Yep.
Yeah, as long as we've got three, we're good.
I can show her how we do, how we process bills.
You'll teach me.
It'll be great.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have to start the meeting. That's why you're pointing. I'm like, yes, it's a phone and it says. Sorry. Okay, so, call the meeting order. It is 6:30. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of
the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So the first order of business is reorganization of the board. So I will take nominations for the position of chair. Any nominations?
I nominate Lee Gustafson for chair. Second.
So nomination by Arnie, seconded by Tim. Any other nominations for chair? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Well, thank you, Julie.
You're welcome. Here's your
And,
gavel.
Thank you.
One question that I had about when we do the nomination like that, when a person accepts it, is that considered a second? Or do you still have to have a second?
I don't know.
Generally in Robert's rules, it doesn't get a second, a nomination.
Which means when you accept it, it's kind of like a second.
Second. All right. Well, whatever. You're nominated, appointed,
No, I just,
accepted.
because by then you have 3 votes already.
Right. Well, thank you. I'm honored and I appreciate the trust in me to be the chair of this board. I appreciate it. So our first item of business after reorganization is when we get down to the rules of procedure, there's a section in there relative to meeting time. So we'll discuss that at that point.
Vice Chair.
What's that?
Vice Chair.
Oh, yes, we do need to elect a vice chair, so I'll accept nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Arnie Janinas for vice chair.
Okay. Anyone else want to be nominated, or should we nominate somebody else? Do you accept?
Yes.
Okay. Then all in favor of Arnie Janinas being vice chair, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Excellent, thank you. Approval of minutes from February 18th. Is there something else you keep looking at? me?
Clerk.
Oh, yes, we need a clerk. Sorry.
Excuse me a moment, and
Okay.
I'm sorry if you talked about this, but I heard Tim nominate Arnie for vice chair and Arnie accepted. Is that the second or no second is required?
No second is required.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So I will accept nominations for clerk of the board.
There is not much that has to be done. If there's an executive session that I'm not a part of, then you would, need to keep track of motions to exit and time. That really is about the extent of the duties.
Yeah, it's literally,
I nominate Tim Rowe. I accept.
any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you, Tim, for taking on that responsibility. Okay, now we can get to the approval of the meeting minutes of February 18th and February 18th special select board meeting. So let's look at the regular meeting first. I'll entertain a motion, accept the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Is that Tim?
Peter.
Oh, Peter, I'm sorry.
Second.
So Tim is the second. Any comments, changes, corrections?
I received an email today from Mr. McGinnis. On the first page of the minutes, I believe it is line 35. It states, he said a presumption was not on that boundary. Mr. McGinnis is saying it should read a presumption is not a map boundary. That is what he had stated.
Okay.
Line 35 is correct.
Yeah, I think it's line 35. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just had one thing, if I can find it, on page 4, line 15. And then it says Vermont Law 10 BSA. I'm thinking it should be VSA. Victor. That's all that I had.
Anyone else have anything? The only thing I had was on page 5, line 27. The town manager was asked to insert a page into the road book, and I think that should be the land book.
Road. It should be the road
Is it
book.
road book?
The road book.
Okay, so it's not the land records
No,
per se.
the road book. There are road books within the land records.
Okay, excellent.
So you accepted all that as public record?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. You were not.
No, I'm not allowed. Remember, the lawyer that won't come tells me not to be here.
Exactly.
All right, any other changes? All in favor of approving the minutes from February 18th, 2026 as amended, please signify by saying aye.
I
Opposed, nay. Excellent. So then next is the special select board meeting minutes from that same date. Did anybody, well, I entertain a motion to accept the special select board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Arnie's made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Tim's a second. Any changes, corrections, modifications?
None.
Okay. All in favor of the approving the meeting minutes for the special select board meeting on February 18th, 2026, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Excellent, thank you. Next are citizens' comments. If anyone is present either in the room or online that would like to make a comment about something that is not on the agenda, now's your opportunity to speak up. Okay, thank you. Moving on is old business. Julie, you want to help us out with that?
I can, not much here. Included in the packet, I was asked for a breakdown of attorney's expenses. I've categorized those for you guys. So that you can see how legal expenses were spent and what drove things to be over. There's that in there. And then Peter had asked for a summary of how the ARPA funds were used. So there's a total of that in there for you as well. And then the only thing I have is, as we all know, the local options tax failed. So I don't know how you want to proceed, or just looking for a little direction on how you would like to proceed with discussions relative to other options for helping out the Housing Commission folks to come up with some funding for them. Would you like that to start at the Housing Commission, have them maybe discuss recommendations, or would you like to take the lead on that? What would be your direction?
would take it as they would make a request for a specific amount for a specific.
Okay.
You know,
Sure.
you need money for a housing study. It's gonna cost X. Come to us and ask for the housing money to start X, and not really make it a budget, so it would, because we're gonna have to okay. But the thing is, it needs to be targeted. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Yep.
So I'm also thinking if we're gonna discuss it and we're gonna offer suggestions, maybe it should be an agenda item so we could review a lot of the things that we talked about.
Oh, absolutely.
So we have some other
Right,
options
right.
and then decide whether we're gonna, give them a budget or however we're gonna look at it.
Okay.
Because there were a few things already that we talked about during the course of that tax thing
Okay.
about options. So maybe just having it as agenda item and then discuss all the ideas that we might have, whether we do it or whether they do it or a combination or whatever.
And that was gonna be my recommendation, that we have it as a agenda item, so we can talk about where the money's gonna come from, what we're gonna spend it, and then incorporate Peter's idea, at least discuss that as well. So I think that's,
I would add just one thing to that would be expected timing, or some crystal ball thought on when they're gonna need that amount.
Yeah, so I'll put this as an agenda item on the Housing Commission meeting this month. We'll have a talk about what we know is coming on the horizon. We do have some costs that Preston and I have gotten in. So we'll have that conversation. We'll come back. It'll put it on an agenda item in April. And so we'll do it.
Has any money from the STRs gone into their account yet
Yes,
at all? There is.
Yes,
So they
yes.
have.
They have money to start. They certainly have the money to pay for the market study. that will be underway soon. The next piece of funding that they'll need is for a consultant to start bringing us to the development, which we have some proposals on. So once we have been able to thoroughly review those, we'll have more of a cost estimate and we can bring that back. So we'll discuss in April.
Good.
Anything else you need to?
Nope, that's it for me.
Okay. Sharon Baker is not able to make it, asking for permission to use the green, so we will postpone that to another
Yeah, she'd
meeting.
like to be able to present and talk, so she asked if we could postpone it.
So do you think we'll have time on the 18th, or do we want to push that to April?
It depends on if I can get the drafts done. So we'll push it to March 18th for right now. But I have let her know it may get pushed to April 1st, but I'm hoping March 18th.
Next is review and adopt rules of procedure. Hopefully everybody had a chance to review those rules. As Julie mentioned in her email, she hasn't changed anything since the last time that we adopted these, but just wondered if anybody had any comments or concerns or questions or anything that needed to be clarified.
I have a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. Since we're supposed to be following these, I don't know how closely we do anyway, but on Article 2, Paragraph 1, it says each agenda the body must have an agenda with time allotted for each item. We've never done that.
No,
Can
we
we
haven't.
just strike that? I don't see us doing that either. Maybe I'm wrong,
Well,
but-
so I guess it depends on how you interpret that. Is that a specific time, like we're gonna give 25 minutes to this, or it's just we have enough time in our schedule, meeting time
Oh,
to
that's-
address whatever?
That's a fair question. A lot of people do agendas with
Right, you got 10 minutes,
an
yeah.
allotted time for
Yeah.
that topic, and that's the way I read this.
Well, I'm sorry, Tim, you can't talk anymore right at Yeah, I looked at that too, and I was thinking it was just, we want to make sure that we're not,
If we want
Having
to
a
cover
meeting.
that, it would be with adequate time for each,
yeah,
so.
I mean, that would clarify it. Is
Yeah.
that how you guys think we should go, or?
I'd be fine with either strike with time allotted or with adequate time for each item, doesn't matter to me. And at the end of the day, I don't know that it's even.
Well, no, the way it's worded here reads to me as an agenda that says 10 minutes for this item, 15 minutes for that item.
The
and
school board does that like that.
We didn't used to, and then we started for a variety of reasons doing that. And I've never heard anybody here doing that. So
No,
I don't think you'll miss it if you strike it.
Right, I think that'd be the easiest thing to do, just strike it.
The only time I saw that used is sometimes when there was a meeting that there was a lot of folks that wanted to speak. You'd limit somebody to 2 or 3 minutes to speak.
Well, that's in here.
But that's,
It's in here also,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's either.
And that was
And there's
what I was-
nothing to say that if you have an agenda, you can't
You
add.
could
Right,
do
you
that,
could.
right.
And even if it's not specified, you could decide for the agenda next month, you're going to put it in. But if you have it like this, you have to do it.
Yeah, we're supposed to be doing it every time.
Like we always have.
We never, not always, like we never have.
So what's the pleasure of the board? Strike it or add adequate?
I would say strike it.
Strike it.
Strike it, be fine.
So basically, we're taking out with time allotted for, or with time
Yes.
allotted. Must have an agenda for
With
each
time
item.
allotted, those 3 words, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else, Tim? You had
Next
said you had a
one's
couple?
in the same article, section 3. And I've brought this up before, and we've talked about it, and forgive me if I don't recall what the outcome was. Adding things to an agenda. So that this reads, all business will be conducted in the same order as appears on the noticed agenda, unless voted otherwise, except that any addition to or deletion from may be made as the first act of business. My understanding, again, is that open meeting law does not allow for us to, unless it's an emergency, add something to an agenda that hasn't been warned.
That's correct.
So I would also say that we take out that any addition or in addition to or, those three words be taken out.
Should go back and look at the law. I'm not sure that's there.
I've been through open meeting law twice and training twice, three times actually. You're not
Because
supposed,
otherwise you could start a meeting and add whatever agenda items you wanted to it.
and you can catch people off guard who maybe that was an important item to them. It wasn't warned, so they didn't participate.
I believe there are emergency options where you can.
But to look,
What is your recollection?
I recall it being very loose about that.
And I've been also through multiple trainings, although very specific to school. But they're really, I think it's the same set of rules that you can, as long as it is because part of what is usually on the agenda is a line item for additions and deletions to the agenda.
Do you want me to verify?
Um,
I mean, we got to make changes. You're making changes anyways.
yeah.
You're not signing
I mean,
tonight.
sure.
So we could certainly verify. I can verify with the league. The LCT's presentations include that you cannot. That I know with certainty.
They advise that you.
They advise, right, and that may be the difference.
That's the difference. It's always, we always heard, you shouldn't do it. It's not good practice to do it.
Yeah.
But if something comes up,
Comes up and you can.
and then you can, as long as it's the first thing that happens. Once
Yeah.
things start, then you can.
I think
And
there's something
just as
about,
a general, you don't want to do that. It makes everybody cranky. But I don't recall it being prohibited.
I do remember, I think, Tim, this is what you're gonna reference somewhere else in here. It talks about,
emergency item.
Emergency,
Yes,
yeah.
it does.
yeah, so my thought is, regardless of what the law says, we don't necessarily have to include addition in our policy. I think it makes sense for you to check, Julie, but
Sure.
I'm not sure that we actually need to have that, because we do have in this procedure something that pertains to emergencies, which is how I would see that. If it's not on the agenda and somebody wants to add it, if it's not an emergency, we just say no.
Right.
But that would be the way I would handle it.
We'd want to warn that.
Right,
to
exactly.
a future
Yes.
meeting.
Yeah.
And does it make difference if that agenda item that's being added is going to be action taken or non-action taken? Because if it's an item maybe just for information or just for a quick discussion, it's a lot different than if you're going to take action. Especially if you're going to take action.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And again, I don't know, I can't remember where that emergency section was.
It's definitely in there because I read it this afternoon. So maybe I'm just too much of a stickler for detail. It would really annoy me if something got put on the agenda that I've, as a citizen, had an interest in discussion and it wasn't warned.
Right.
It's
I
a
think
terrible idea
it's
to do.
just discourteous and
Yeah.
yeah, I would just recommend we strike it. But you want to check on it, that's fine. I guess we're going to talk about time we start our meeting separately because that's in here under Article.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
Well, this is when we're gonna talk about it. So
Okay.
do you have
I got that one highlighted too.
okay.
6:30 is because of chores.
Sure.
Yeah, still, yeah.
Okay.
We got farmers on
Yeah,
board.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
dead yet.
Okay, just, that's
So does
fine.
that, sorry, I don't mean to get off track, but does that work for everybody, first and third Wednesday at 6:30?
Sure. Good at that then. And this is really picky in here. So what happens when I have time to read this stuff in detail.
Well, that
Article
was the
4.
point.
Under
We're already at
motion,
Article 4.
under motions and voting, paragraph 9. Says responses to voice votes when provided must be expressed as either yes or no, and we always say yay or nay.
That is picky. Yep.
So
Right,
we could
Just saying.
we could take the quotes out and put affirmative or negative.
Oh, no, I ain't saying that. Too many syllables.
Yeah.
No, I mean, if you're saying something, if it's not in quotes,
You
you can say whatever you want, as long as it's being either affirmative or negative.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But
More general.
Indicate in the affirmative or the negative.
yeah, I don't know.
In English, it's not worth changing. but
Yeah,
just-
unless somebody is super concerned about this. I appreciate the
I knew you'd appreciate that, Mr. Detail. And I didn't notice any missing commas or anything like that.
Okay. You notice any extra periods?
No.
Because I did.
Oh, take us there. Let's fix that.
All of the, like,
You guys together.
one dot organization period. I wouldn't have put the period in there, but that's just me. Anybody else have anything they want to bring up? I had a couple of things also under one organization, number 2. The body may vote to remove the chair or vice chair at any time and elect a new chair or vice chair by majority vote. The question I have is, are we voting to remove that chair or vice chair from the board or just take away that?
We can't get them from the board.
Okay, so
To the board.
I guess I would just clarify that to remove the
From their,
from their position. Yeah.
From their board, yeah, from their position.
On page, well, number 3, meetings, number 1. Oh, that was, we already talked about that. Number 5, public participation. We say all meetings of the body are conducted in the public, which I think there's some extra words in there.
I'm sorry. All meetings are
5-1.
meetings of the body. Oh, and conducted in the public would be what that probably is supposed to be.
Okay,
And are conducted in the public.
okay. They're not meetings of the public, so that makes sense as long as
And
we
not
have.
meetings of the public.
Right. And then number 6 and 7, that's where the time limit. And I don't know if we want to say 2 minutes or just leave it and it's at the discretion of the chair or whomever.
I
As
think
far
there's
as how much-
discretion of the chair is
The
open.
discretion's there.
Okay.
I think it's fine as written.
Have you ever had much issue around too many people wanting to speak for too many things?
We have had very long meetings.
Yeah.
And sometimes either Arnie, who was the chair before me, or I have had to ask people to keep it short. I try not to do that, and I don't think Arnie did either, because I want people to feel like they're being heard.
Yeah.
And I don't want to cut off discussion as long as it's civil and it doesn't turn into a debate between people, but the comments are addressed to us as they should be. But I don't necessarily think we need to change the number.
Probably fine. I will share that when we were dealing with putting time limits on things, we had a recommendation from attorneys that the time limit shouldn't be under 3 minutes, otherwise people can potentially raise an issue if you really haven't let them speak. So, and if it's not something that you're having to cut people off on a regular basis, but I'd have a little concern about having 2 minutes.
Well, we can make it 3. That's
Yeah.
why I circled it, because, so.
I don't think, you still have discretion, you can let
Right.
people talk longer, but, and it was just that apparently some people in some issues have questioned that if you won't let me speak for at least 3 minutes, you haven't let me speak.
Right, right.
It's a funny discrimination. I know people who can speak for 3 minutes and still haven't said
Haven't
anything.
said it yet.
Yeah.
Under,
I just did that.
so you all said.
Yes, I am.
Okay. So, number 6, item 6, order number 6. For some reason, I have interrupt any person when speaking. I have interrupt circle. So I guess the point this is trying to make is that as we're discussing things, keeping it so that we're not either internally as the board or people in the who are participating in the meeting don't interrupt. And I think that's just common courtesy. I don't think we do that, but the same thing with number 5, all comments must be addressed to the presiding officer, which sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's just how we're supposed to be doing it. And then number 9, I had Mr., Miss, Sir, Madam, MX. I've never heard of that. Is that typo or is that what it's supposed to be?
The LCT's model policy
Okay.
adopted years ago, so
Okay.
I'm not sure. I've never heard of MX either.
It's non-gender specific.
Is that what it is?
Mhm.
Okay.
And then, I think that's all I had. So if the rest of you are, happy with the recommendations for changes, then we'll just let Julie take it and we'll see it next time. Okay, next is review and adopt conflict of interest policy. This also was.
Then I haven't made any changes from when this was originally adopted, just.
We've had one comment on this one.
Excuse me.
If I may.
Yeah, go ahead, Tim.
Article 5, paragraph C doesn't mention either the Housing Commission or the Economic Development Commission. Am I?
This was before we had those
Right,
commissions.
so am I right in assuming that you would not be able to serve on any of those as well as being a select board member?
No, I think the planning commission and the DRB were intentional.
Were the only ones?
Yeah,
Was there
I think they were
quasi-judicial?
intentional.
Right, is that
Yeah,
is
The
that
planning
issue?
commission is appointed differently. The development review board, I think, I'm trying to remember the conversations. They were specifically called out, those two boards. They were specifically called out. Number one, the DRB can eventually, the select board could get involved in a DRB appeal. So that one you can't be the same. The planning commission was the same way. You're writing the document that you were then adopting. So those two boards were specifically called out distinctly separate. I don't know that your intention was that select board members couldn't serve on any advisory commission, meaning the housing or economic development or one of those.
Okay,
The
so
CAC, there's several of those.
it
At that time, that was the discussion. at the time.
still would be a situation where we'll use the Housing Commission for now, where they're gonna come to the select board and ask us to approve expenditures.
Sure.
Would that potentially be a conflict or not? If you were sitting on both?
They're not well, that's a,
I'm throwing it up. for
no,
discussion.
that's entirely up to you guys. I mean, it's entirely up to whether or not you view that as a conflict. The planning commission, the discussion was that they are writing the governing land use documents for the town. At the discussion back then was that it felt like there should not be overlapping between those three groups. I don't remember if there was specific discussion about all the ancillary advisory groups.
Well, part of this is that you can serve on subcommittees to these groups. So I think that would be part of it. But to answer your question, Tim, it's a good point. The question is, would there be enough of a conflict of interest where you would not want somebody to be in both roles? And if one member is part of the housing commission and they're also voting on whether to approve the funding, I don't necessarily, you could either recuse yourself or, 1 out of 5 is probably not
As
a huge issue. Go ahead, Laura.
as the current vice chair of the Housing Commission, I can see both ways around it, and also if it's a concern to say no. I just would like to know before March 17th.
Well, so another way of looking at it is what could public perceptions
Yeah.
possibly be, regardless of, the pure intent of that particular board member.
Ideally, it sounds like it would be better that you weren't on both boards for those reasons, especially if you're gonna start talking about monetary stuff.
Well, and you've been attending, but
I've been-
not on.
Same thing, I go to the planning board meetings too.
Yeah,
I attend those, and I go to citizen advisory board meetings,
But you're not voting.
but I'm not a voter, absolutely, but they certainly hear what I have to say.
Mhm.
I mean, and I will not feel that is that it's a bad thing to say that. I would have the same concerns. I don't know that there's any real concern about anyone's inability to separate those things. But the appearance of conflict is as important as the reality. So, and I think given some of the concerns that we just recently listened to, I would not be uncomfortable with the idea that a member of the select board should not serve directly on that commission. Yeah.
Well,
And-
it certainly would be the prudent thing to do, because then there's no conflict.
No appearance.
There's not even appearance.
Right.
There is none,
Right.
because you
There
can't
can't be.
vote on it. If somebody is on both, then there may not be any conflict, but there could be the appearance of conflict, which, as you just raised, could be an issue with the public.
Mhm.
So,
Do you want me to change this to say that prohibited from being a member on any
so
other?
what is that? I
What
guess,
are these?
is it a commission or a
Well, there's
board,
the
or
Economic Development Committee, there's the,
is it a committee or commission?
the Economic Development is a committee, I believe,
Okay.
the Housing Commission. You have the Citizen Advisory Committee, you have the Local Cannabis Control Commission.
So what, I know we talked about this before, but can you explain the difference between a committee and a commission again? It seems to me that a committee is less formal.
It's recognized in
Then-
statute differently, but I don't
then
remember the
commission.
difference.
That's part
Maybe
of it.
Lauren remembers, I don't
I would have
remember.
offered to say.
I don't
I don't remember.
We talked about that at the
We
CCC
did.
level, whether we wanted to be a committee or a commission, and we stuck with committee because it was a lot less formal with
Yeah.
minutes and open meeting. I mean, a lot of things, whereas once you're the commission, you have to follow everything the way we do here as a board.
Right.
There is a difference recognized in
Yeah, you
statute, I
have-
just don't remember.
You have to
Commission
be
is far more.
appointed to a
Right.
commission by this board,
Right.
and you, as I understand it, don't have to be appointed to a committee. It's more like a.
It
Join?
just is a matter of
Just
whether or
join.
not it's a select board created committee or
Okay,
commission.
that's.
We may also just be using the terms with whatever happens to be comfortable.
The way-
when we're
yeah,
talking
and they're all
about
the
it.
same.
There may, yeah.
Mr. Lindsay?
Excuse me, I think there was concern a while back with the Development Review Board, items coming before them, and if they were appealed,
Right.
the appeal could go to the select body.
Right.
So I just mentioned.
That's
that.
why the DRB, yeah.
Right. Right.
So do you want me to
Thank
just
you.
to change this language that a select board member shall be prohibited from serving on any other select board created board
Or commission or.
or
committee.
commission, right?
So,
Select board created entity?
does the
No, not
board,
really, because
Yeah,
you're
you're right.
going you're saying you could be on a subcommittee,
Yeah, you are.
so you don't want to just
Yeah,
lock
no,
that
no.
out.
Do you want me to list the commit, do you want me to list them
But a
all?
subcommittee wouldn't have to be an appointed member, like a subcommittee could be made up.
Well, that's
of
true,
people
but
at large.
so, yeah, but so you can't use the word committee.
Couldn't,
That's the point. Yeah, go ahead.
couldn't you say will not serve on any committee or commission, but is allowed to serve on subcommittees of?
Yes.
That's from-
Well,
and at large. capacity.
again, I'm not convinced that we couldn't serve on committees.
I
think
don't know
that-
the difference between the two.
Well, we should figure that out first.
Well, it just seems to me that the commission is more of a formal group that meets and has responsibilities, possibly dealing with money, but a committee doesn't necessarily, they have advisory responsibilities, but they're not necessarily spending money or, making decisions that affect the town, whereas a commission could do that. And I'm basing that totally on just.
So Google AI says. if you like
Scary.
Committee, well, this makes sense. Committees are generally smaller internal groups within an organization that make recommendations, while commissions are formally appointed bodies with a specific, often external investigative or regulatory mandate.
Okay. So in that
That makes
instance,
sense.
the committee would be a subcommittee of the select board.
Or a committee that maybe I create to help me work on something.
Mhm. which could, I think would make sense to have anybody, because they're not making budgetary recommendations, or they're not gonna vote on policy, right?
Right.
Anything like that would come to a board that has,
Right.
that
The authority.
authority.
So I guess based on that, I would say
No
not,
commissions.
not any board or commission. But this also, the whole point of this is to make sure that we, as the select board, are recognizing our limitations and what would constitute a conflict of interest relative to our job. And so I think that makes sense. So in that instance, then Lauren would have to step down from
Yes,
the housing commission.
yes, yeah, ignore that request.
Okay, I will.
Appointed to-
We'll add that we're looking for somebody for housing commission.
Which does, again, doesn't mean I can't attend and
Exactly.
participate, and we'll
Right.
continue to plan to do that. I think that's a good thing.
Hang out with the bleachers with me.
And I'll be there.
Well, you can only have 2 board members. If you have
That's
a
right.
third, then we have to warn it as a whole different thing.
Only if we talk to each other.
That's true.
2's okay.
Well, you
It's
can
not
sit in
good.
You
separate
have to wear the
rows.
cone of silence.
Serve refreshments, it's a party.
Cone of silence.
So getting back to conflict of interest policy, anything else that anybody had concerns about?
I don't have concerns about what's written here, but I have a little bit of a concern about the procedure that we follow when it happens. Sometimes when someone says they're going to recuse themselves, we all understand what it's about, and the person just goes out the door and we kind of know what's going on. But I think in here it says that there should actually be a little discussion about it and give people a chance to ask questions. And I think that would help people, the citizens, to hear what's going on so they're aware of what's happening. There's also a part
Sorry,
where
where are you seeing that, Arnie?
consideration of recusal, I guess.
7, Article 7.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Article 7 should actually change because the state law says now if you recuse yourself,
You have to submit a paper.
you have to submit
Well,
a paper.
that's in here too. That's in there later on where it says,
Article 8.
post recusal procedure, I think it's 9. So the determination, I'm pretty sure, where was it? I thought there was a part where you had to write a little letter that was saying,
Yeah, under-
explaining
No,
it.
they
under
just changed
8A.
that law this last year, and I'll bet you, so this isn't up to date yet.
No,
So
we did
under-
not change this.
Yeah, so we need to update that with the state statute.
But the big thing is making sure that we offer a little bit of information for the public to why a person's recusing themselves. And if somebody has a question about it, they're able to ask it. Other than that, that other part about recording it, I know that starts getting a little, I mean, once it's on record and you're saying why, it almost seems redundant that you have to write it out again to just.
It has
so
to
it's
be
there.
attached, it has to be attached to the minutes now.
Yeah.
Of that meeting
I mean,
by,
in writing.
in writing.
We've been kind of lax about that.
No, with me.
But we all understood why, but the public doesn't when that happens. And I think they should be informed on why, what's happening.
I think that's a valid point, that we should remember that when it comes up again.
And that was a change to statute, so that's a good point. We need to update
So,
this. We need to
under
update this.
Article 8A, recusal of elected officers, it says, elected public officer shall declare whether he or she will recuse him or herself and explain the basis for that decision. If the public officer has an actual perceived conflict of interest, but believes that he or she is able to act fairly, objectively in the interest of public interest, in spite of the conflict, he or she shall state why he or she believes that he or she is able to act in a manner fair. So there's something about stating it, but I think the statute now requires it to be in writing.
Correct.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I think it's different, see, because here you're staying in the meeting and you stated it's sort of like we did the short-term rentals. Yes, I own a short-term rental. Yes, I think I can fairly make the decision.
And there's nothing in there that we could force anybody to do anything, I think,
Well, that's
when it
interesting.
comes down to it, right?
Because 8B says you could be removed from office, and that, I don't think we can do that because it's an elected office. Yeah.
But this is certain appointed officials such as a zoning administrator and a town manager may only be removed for cause and after being afforded with procedural due process protections. Remember, this is a policy that you're adopting for you, but you're also adopting for
It's
all
gonna be
board
the
members.
Same policy for, they
This
don't
is
discuss
adopted
it
for
in-
all municipal officials.
Okay.
That's the difference.
Okay, then that needs to stay in.
Yeah, you're right, Arnie, that there's nothing in here that allows us to easily remove somebody from a.
On our board, for sure.
On an elected board, yes.
But that also means that we need to be careful as we're participating in things that we recognize ourselves if we have a conflict. Because it's easy for me to think, oh, I'm not gonna be, biased or whatever, but somebody else may, as you pointed out, have a perceived conflict or see that as a perceived conflict. And so just making sure that we're all being introspective as we're evaluating various topics of discussion.
That works for this board, but these rules go with other boards as you go
Right.
forward, and they might not be that introspective, and they might not be that.
Well, and this board's gonna be a different group of people at some point too, so.
Right.
This, in rereading this, it kind of encourages, it seemed to me, I got the impression that the document encourages questioning, is there? I mean, if it comes to one of our minds, wow, I wonder if there's a conflict here. I would personally be kind of hesitant to bring that up. And it feels like this is encouraging to have that conversation in the public meeting.
Even if it's uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I agree. And we shouldn't necessarily be needing to call people out. But on the other hand, if I'm doing something I don't recognize, I expect you guys to call me out.
And if I'm questioning, gee, I wonder if that's a conflict, how many people sitting out there are having the same thoughts?
Right.
That's what's most important to
Right.
me.
Just protects the integrity of the board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. So I just would highlight that. We should not be shy about politely saying, hey, is there a conflict there?
And that's one of the reasons why I want to have this discussion, instead of just, oh yeah, I read this at least once in your case. But, several of us have read it more than that. And so
Every year.
Yeah, it's just a good reminder of what it is, how we are to conduct ourselves in the interests of the public to make sure that we're not having these conflicts.
And so once we settle on however this document will be changed and we vote to accept it, we sign it.
Correct.
The same document will go to all of the other appointed boards and they will sign it. They don't get to change it. Okay. Since they get to,
They don't
have
have
the opportunity.
Right. So are you good?
I am good. I will update and I'll make the few changes that we talked about. I'll
Anybody-
update with the statute. Yeah.
Anyone have any other comments? Okay. Thank you. Next is the public records policy. So Julie, if you could just kind of bring us up to speed on this. I know, as you saw the document about legal fees, not a lot, but there's a significant amount of money that we spend on public records requests.
It was one of them, that was $7,000.
So public records requests are becoming an issue in all municipalities throughout the state. So the statute allows for municipalities to adopt a policy. What it does is it helps rein in, and it's the town's position, what are considered, already having been produced. So like this policy, Vermont law allows us to state that because it's in our land records, that we make our land records available. Anything recorded in the land records has already been produced. Therefore, you're welcome to come in and have access to those records. Currently, without this, if somebody calls and says, I need a copy of this deed and this, and Amy has to go into the vault. She has to get copies of all those things, scan them, email them. It's time. And first 30 minutes are free under Vermont law. So these things add up. And there are a lot of public records requests that come in. They're not entities that are local. They are often data research companies from outside the state. They can consume a lot of time. This policy, while we do still have to comply with open records laws, it defines a little bit for people of this is how we will provide it to you. You know, we're not providing it to you in any format you choose. This is the method we'll use. This is how we'll give it to you. We're not going to go create documents for you. The law talks a bit about, you know, we have to provide documents in the manner in which they're kept. So sometimes people want us to do a significant amount of data research for them. That's not something we have to comply with. We have to make it available. But we don't have to do all these special reports and all this kind of stuff. So this kind of helps rein it in. We want to comply. We want to give access, you know, public access to records. We don't want to hinder people who are really looking for access to records that are public records. However, we have to put some parameters around it. There was a period of about a month where we had 48 public records requests.
Wow.
And they were a little thing here, and you have to comply. You have 3 days to do it. It becomes quite an issue.
Are we training AI? Is that what, I mean, why did
I don't
it
know.
change all of a sudden?
Of all the demand for public
Yeah.
records requests, that I don't know. That I don't know if you've ever looked into any of the.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. I don't know, but I know it's becoming a very big problem. That there is some stuff in the legislature this year about further modifying this.
So
So it's a tightrope to because everything here for the most part is public. And we need to have access to public records. People need to have access, but it can't be at the undue burden of all the taxpayers' finances and staff that are also need to run the town. So this just puts some parameters around this.
So the fees that we can collect, are those set by the state, or can we modify those?
You have parameters. So these are the high end of those parameters. These are what have been acceptable throughout the state.
Those are max or
What was that?
is the max allowed? Is that what you just said?
Yeah. And and which is not a lot.
No.
And you're not allowed to recoup legal fees. So some of our legal fees, you know, some of our public records requests require the attorney to respond to. Pretty much any public records request that has much to do with the police department is going to go through the attorneys first, as far as what can be redacted and what can't. So, yeah.
You know, I really love the term that says the policy doesn't apply to requests for public records that reside in the municipal land records vault. Boy, we could really shove everything in there. It's all in there.
It's all in there.
That covers it.
Yeah, that covers.
And it's not the intention, again, it's not the intention to be difficult or to try to restrict access or any of that.
I really like you're making clear that if somebody wants to look at something, there's the files.
Yeah.
We're not going to spend hours and.
Correct.
And
there are
I remember
times-
spending hours
And-
going through to in effect collate all of the information so that someone else doesn't have to do that. And that's not what public access is supposed to be.
Correct. The other thing that we've run into is the way people are wording sometimes public records requests. The ladies up front, it's actually requiring them to do a title search. And we are not certified for that. We do not do title searches. So when you ask me for, you know, everything on record for a, you know, particular property owner, you know, it just puts us in a situation of potential liability for the town.
So if we sign this tonight,
Uh-huh.
what's the process for modifying it if we need to? We can do it at any
You
warning.
can do it at any time.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a policy.
So-
Yes, Mr. Cunningham.
Sorry.
Yeah, I I do a fair number of public records requests, and I know other people in the press do as well. We had a busy weekend, so I really haven't had a chance to read this closely. And I'm just wondering if you can do the adoption next time. Because I'd really like to read this and also talk with some people about some of the issues with this. There are a couple of things in here just reading through that for example, we often ask for exemptions from fees. I don't see anything in here about the ability to ask for exemptions.
That's in the law. Yep.
Isn't it?
That's in the law.
But is it in here?
I
was just thinking.
Yes, I believe it is.
Like I said,
Yeah.
I didn't.
A lot of this is quoted from.
Okay,
statute.
all right. So I just want to take a quick look at it. If it's something that I see several things and you adopt it tonight, I just would like to be able to come back and say, I think you need to look at this.
Well, I'm sure you saw if you got the packet, the amount of money we spend on legal fees. Yeah, I think it's imperative that we adopt this as soon as possible because it's going to help us to recoup some of those costs and prevent us spending taxpayers' dollars.
Sure.
But
I just want to put a marker on that and say,
Yeah.
I may want to come back and ask you to.
Well, we could amend it next week if we needed to. It sounds like it's pretty urgent to, if they're coming in.
It would just be nice to have something on the books and then there's a form you need to fill out, and it just puts a process to them. And
Well, it explains to the people that are requesting these documents, here's how it works. So anything else, it sounds like it's more geared towards raw data. We're not going to do all the work and try to figure everything out for you. Here's the raw data. Go for it.
Yeah. For example, something I don't see in here is something called a Vaughan index, which basically says if you deny anything to me, I want a list of the things you denied and the reasons for those denials.
yeah, that's in here.
Is it?
It's not referred to as a Vaughan index.
Okay.
But it does, because it quotes statute, that yes.
Like I said, I haven't read
we-
it.
If we
I just
deny,
skimmed through it really
if we deny, we have to give
Okay.
reasons for
I'd
that.
recommend you do your
It doesn't
homework.
say, it doesn't say,
What are you up to?
it doesn't use a terminology Vaughan index,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
it does talk about you have to give a reason for a denial. Yes.
I had a question about, is your time billable under this as well? So, because I see things can be referred to you.
The administrative, no, what is in here that's allowed to be billed
That's
is
it.
what can be billed.
That's all.
Right.
And then is there, back to the request for a waiver of fees?
Yep.
That's in here.
Yep.
What's the criteria for that? Is that, I don't really see that spelled out.
We
Is it
typically- We typically do not require fees, because again, we don't want to be a hindrance to people having access.
Mhm.
And most of the time, often like with Sean's request, they're not something that is taking us an hour to put together.
Mhm.
If something is taking, 15, 20 minutes, we wouldn't charge.
We can't charge for that.
Right, but it's the ones that are, here's my full list of 35 things I want from you. Or the things that we have to go to multiple departments to collect. We got 10 people working on this thing, then we will. If they have to go to an attorney, we often will, because we can't recoup the attorney's fees. So no, there is not a list that draws that out. Statute leaves it to the discretion of the municipality
That was my
as to
next
when
one.
it's going to charge and when it's not.
As
It's
long
our
as we
choice.
have the discretion,
Correct.
and nobody
do.
can come back and say, hey, you're not
our
fair because you
discretion.
charged us and you didn't charge them.
It's at the discretion of the municipality. And again, most of the time we don't. The only times we do is when it is like, okay, this is gonna be a
Outrageous.
while.
Is the form something you've been using before, or would that be new?
No, that's new.
Oh, that, yeah.
And
you
the
want-
forms, I think that the reason that they're recommending the forms is I think that gets rid of the AI generated
Uh-huh.
requests. That gets rid of those with the requirement of a form. Yeah. Yeah. And this, I will say, this policy is this follows the VLCT model policy. And this is the policy that's been adopted by Londonderry, Montpelier, many towns throughout the state.
Same form as
It's the
well.
same policy, the same form,
So
tweaked a little bit here and there.
So the form is required as opposed
The
to?
form is not required. It will be required for us.
I'm sorry.
This form would be, I thought you meant by statute.
No, I mean, this,
Yes, we would be requiring a form.
So a suggestion on the form where it says, I agree to pay reasonable and customary costs for these copies. I would say, I agree to pay the rates as stated in the town's policy. To remove any argument about what's customary.
Where are you?
On the form,
Request
if
for inspection?
applicable.
With
town-
form or
Request for inspection, yeah.
Okay,
Below, C, it says if applicable, I hereby, and then the long blank, and it says I
Yep.
agree to pay. I would say to pay the rates as stated in the town's fee schedule or whatever policy. That question no longer matters because you have discretion to waive. And every place it said 30 minutes, I was gonna say, can we make it 5?
No. No,
Nope, the
no.
answer is no.
no.
Is there any suggested modifications to the main body of this policy?
I don't think so.
Nope. If not, I would entertain a motion to accept this policy as presented, minus or assuming that we can make the modification of the form without any issue, correct?
Oh, yes.
So moved.
Lawrence made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Peter is a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of adopting the public records request policy with the minor modification to the inspection form, please signify by saying yes.
Affirmative.
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Yes.
Opposed? Thank you. And this is the 4th, right?
It is, March 4th.
Oh, so
You know-
this says, I don't know if we can sign this because this is February.
I know we've just finished this topic and we're done with it, but Julie, if
Do we
this thing
care?
was,
Yes, we do.
Julie, just a
I'll bring it
quick
to you.
question.
Yeah.
If this thing was in place, like on that $7,000 records request, how much would it have saved on
There
money?
still wouldn't need to have been legal fees,
Yeah.
but it probably would have hindered some of the requests.
Oh,
Because that was a series of, 8 different requests, one right after the other. And it was a lot, how it helps is that, it was a lot of back and forth, back and forth, back and
each
forth,
one was
back
an
and
incident.
forth. Each one on this case would have been a separate incident, with him, and we would have been able to charge a little more, and we would have been, yeah.
Do you want to just go?
I can go change it real quick, sure.
Gonna take a 2-minute recess.
2 minutes.
You got 2 minutes.
Okay.
Warning.
and remember, it's the mic.
Blue is on. It is on.
So I thought that was interesting in our rules of procedure. It says you have to either recess,
Mm.
which is for a set amount of time, or adjourn or whatever. So that's why I said 2 minutes, because that's.
A little more casual.
well done, Lee.
He's got his gavel tonight. He's feeling
Yeah.
right power.
It's hammer time.
All right.
We wear the same shirt.
No.
Almost.
I didn't know it was plaid there. I would have worn mine.
You guys
See,
are-
the dark ones are vertical
They're
on mine
opposite?
and they're
They're opposite.
horizontal on yours.
So you just gotta stand.
I just wanted to fit in.
I don't think I have a flannel shirt.
What are you doing in Vermont?
Yeah, seriously. Oh, by the way, today is the 235th anniversary of Vermont becoming a state.
Oh, it is.
Wow.
Wow.
Didn't hear anything today at all. It was
I
like,
thought we'd all drive up to Windsor to the tavern.
it's good to me.
Knock yourself out.
You can drive.
I'll fit in my car, that's the problem.
Well, see, but now they took Chittenden out because he was selling alcohol. The feds took him out after that. He became the state and then he had to resign because, well, they let the whole thing lapse, but he was about to get hit by the feds for alcohol.
Old Demon Alcohol.
Thomas Chittenden.
Thomas Chittenden. He served too many drinks when he was running public office.
Wow,
Wow.
that's how he got elected.
A lot of people got elected back then.
Worked well in Boston. The Irish side of Boston, unbelievable.
One of my roommates after college was the great nephew of James Michael Curley, who was the mayor of Boston, who served part of his term as mayor in Danbury Federal Prison.
Wow.
I changed the form too, so at least that's.
Okay. So we're all good.
We're all good. Everything has been
How about
changed.
the mayor of Rhode Island? Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
he's not a little guy.
Any further?
Well, look what I walked back into.
So there's only one assigned line, so you guys can find where you feel like it.
Thanks, Lee.
I didn't say anything. Guess I didn't have to.
I pick up on subtle hints pretty well sometimes.
I'm feeling very efficient.
See, then you go through the town records and you find your father's name. It's like, no.
That's you, not any of the rest of us.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I find
I won't
mine,
go through mine.
On this conference.
There was medical stuff going on. You didn't find mine.
All right, next on our agenda are to approve 3 licenses, tobacco license, tobacco substitute endorsement, and second-class liquor license, all for J.W. Sandry. Any comments, concerns, questions?
My usual question, any complaints or police
Nope.
calls through that
They're all-
location?
they're all good.
regarding Alcohol or tobacco?
I'll entertain a motion to accept these 3 license applications.
So moved.
Vince made the motion.
Second.
Arnie's the second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. New business next agenda. So we have on the next agenda, appointments, paper of records, school director recommendation, use of town property ordinance, local emergency operations plan. Anything else that?
Probably the use of town property is gonna get kept because you're gonna have the town road policy the next meeting. And that one really is more of a priority. So you're gonna have the town road policy, the request for use of the town green that was tonight that got bumped, you're gonna have. And then we'll have an update on the rules of procedure and conflict of interest.
And then, the money for the housing commission, that'll be a later.
That'll be,
one?
we'll push that in April, because we'll let the housing commission meet on the 17th, and then we'll bring that back in April. Again, it's not pressing. And then I would say that in April 15th, Jim Carroll is coming. We had talked about having an updated little training and conversation about roles and responsibilities between select board members, town manager, form of government. We do that every so many years. Because it can get really complex and a lot of gray. So just a good time for you guys to ask questions of Jim and whatever. So that'll be on the 15th, April 15th.
All right. Anything else that needs to come up?
We have stuff we can read on tier 3 before we get to that.
The land use review board is currently making another round of changes. So what we were waiting for, I don't know that they're gonna be at that April 1st meeting, Hugh, is once they have made their next round, their next draft is when we're gonna have them come. So I don't have, if I give you something now, it's gonna likely have changed.
Is that tier 3?
That's the tier 3 discussion.
The rural one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they have offered, one of the gentlemen on that board, on the land use review board, has offered to come to do a presentation. So we obviously are going to take him up on it.
Right.
And once we know that date, we'll send out specific letters to those that we know the map is showing is going to have an impact to them. But our understanding is there's a new round of draft changes that were supposed to happen the middle of February, I think is what Hugh said, and we still hadn't seen them. So they're coming.
So when this is appropriate to talk about this now in totality, but, they'll explain to us, like, there've been some questions raised about how long the tier 1B is in force for, and when I read the meeting minutes from last meeting, it was stated there that that's it, that's how that's gonna be.
Right.
So that question, I'd like to have addressed by somebody who's an expert, so
Okay.
there's some misinformation out there.
Okay, so where did you hear the other version that questions did?
Tom Charles.
Oh, okay, I missed that. I
Yeah,
missed that.
Yeah.
So what did he say?
he said that, the tier 1A was
3 years.
3 years.
Tier 1A.
What
about 1B?
1B, whatever the,
Tier 1B
yeah,
was only for 3
He
years.
said what he was saying was you get a temporary exemption from Action 50 with the tier 1, and you get a permanent regulation with tier 3. So it's trading off things that were unfair.
I'd just like to have that
Yeah, I was listening to it
clarified.
I completely missed that. Okay.
And as long as we're on this topic, I'm just gonna throw this out there now, so it's in the minutes. I went and researched what Tom said about reintroducing mountain lions to Vermont. There was a bill introduced. It was not co-sponsored. It was introduced by one legislator on January 26th, I believe, and it's never left committee.
25.
Of last year.
Yeah.
And it's never left committee. So another, yeah.
So in
So we
this,
shouldn't be talking about it, but.
yep, in this tier 3, we will probably have mineral rights that are the town has mineral rights that will end up in this tier 3.
Very possible. I think the draft map does have. The last map I have seen, I think does show that land.
so when I looked at it the other day, most of Popple Dungeon.
Yeah.
And, I think part of Route 121 and then a little bit of Route 11 near Simonsville.
Yeah.
Were the 2 areas that were mostly, covered by this. So almost all of Popple Dungeon was covered and would be subject to this.
Because the town actually owns mineral rights that are that run parallel to the power lines, and there's the Taufane runs parallel to the power lines through that whole section of northwest Chester. But we specifically own, well, we sold the rights, but I'm pretty sure if we go through, we'll find that we have Tauf royalties.
So tier 3 is along there. When I asked Jason about that, he said that the rest of the town, especially up in that area, is going to be more road rule.
Right. Which there's a lot,
Also is a,
which is a nightmare.
Also in discussion.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that will all be discussed when this guy comes. He'll give good explanations. We'll take whatever is the map at that time. And make sure that we reach out to all those landowners. Specifically, they'll get a letter from the town inviting them to the meeting. We want to just, I mean, it's not a region, it's a state, it's a total state thing, but they need to be well informed as to what this impact is going to be to their land.
And so he won't be here to give our feedback. He'll be here to explain to us what's happened.
Probably both. If you have a captive audience, I would take the opportunity and give feedback. So, yeah.
We're going to have somebody checking pitchforks and torches at the door.
Right.
okay, anything else that we need to discuss that's, on the agenda or on the future agenda? All right, hearing nothing, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Peter and Arnie is the second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you very much.
All right, we're going here. We're an hour and 10.